Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Butchorak Options University. It's Monday, September 24th, 2012, and options expiration week is over. Access to this video is for educational and informational purposes only. Nothing contained in this video, website, or promotional material constitutes a promotion, recommendation, solicitation, or offer of any particular investment, security, or transaction. Options University provides educational services that are meant to teach you the risks and rewards of trading stocks and options, and we're not a service that tells you what to trade. We're not implying or guaranteeing any profit, and as always, do not trade with money you cannot afford to lose. Looking at the past week, we see that we really didn't have any big things happening. We had some good news with housing starts on Wednesday. Existing home sales was fine. And jobless claims was a bit disappointing. PMI was a disappointing, and options expiration day had absolutely nothing. So the news really didn't have much effect on the market last week. Now, taking a look at what's going on this week, let's take a look and see what we've got. We see that we have very little happening on Monday. On Tuesday, we got Case-Shiller, which certainly has moved the market in the past. Consumer confidence comes out Tuesday at 10 o'clock. New home sales on Wednesday, and we see we have durable goods on Thursday morning. We have GDP on Thursday morning. 8:30 is a big time in the market as jobless claims come out, telling us what happened the week before as far as the numbers for unemployment. Looking at Friday as we move forward, we see, wow, personal income and outlays, Chicago PMI, consumer sentiment, a week that as we get to the end of the week, we definitely have information that could definitely move the market as we finish out the last week of September. All right, looking at the SPX, we see that as a week we can say that we are still definitely in an uptrend. We were in an uptrend, but for the week, basically, we look like we were in a down cycle. But notice where that down cycle is. Well above our diagonal we have drawn in, well above our 30-day moving average right here. And so while we're in an upcycle, it's definitely showing great strength in the overall market. Can you say, do not fight the Fed? Looking at Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we see that we didn't have any great big ranges. We had a reversal signal take place on Thursday. We ended up with a higher high, higher low on Friday, so we have now shifted into an upcycle. And unless we have something happen this week or some kind of news comes through, the market is looking pretty darn strong. Do not fight the Fed. This could carry till the end of the year. Will we have some pullbacks? Absolutely. Can you expect that it can pull back to the moving average? It certainly can. As a matter of fact, that is something that we basically expect to have happen sooner and later. But the market is bullish. Looking at the Dow, look at that. We had 8 straight days up in a row, and 9 out of the last 10 have been up. The Dow has shown great strength in leading this market up. Looking at the NASDAQ, we also see a great bit of strength, long way away from the 30-day moving average, and certainly sitting and moving highly as the overall market is looking strong. Looking at the Russell 2000, we had a funny day on Thursday as it pulled back a long way. Not quite as strong as the overall markets. Watch the Russell as it many times will give you a quicker anticipation of what is coming. All right, next let's take a look at the indexes, and we see that for the week, looking at the Dow, the NASDAQ, the S&P, and the Russell, we see that we have changes, all negative numbers on there. Percentage-wise, a very low percentage change. And as we can see, year to date, double digits for all of the indexes, as the indexes are certainly looking strong at this point. Is there going to be window dressing this week? We'll see as we go into the last week of September and enter the strongest 6 months of the year as the market is looked like it's smoking. Do not fight the Fed. Bernanke came out with great news for the market, and it should help the market cook as we go into this presidential year. Looking at the VIX, you see there's very little fear in the market as we're down in the very lowest levels, down around 14. Not a lot of fear, certainly not as much premium in the options. Looking at the bonds, we see that the bonds pulled back a little bit on Friday. The rest of the week, they were heading up as the market was consolidating and going sideways for the week. Looking at the financials, we'll look at the XLF and our ETF on that, and we see that it is at highs. It's well above the 30-day moving average, and it is moving nicely with the other indexes. Next, let's take a look at oil, and we see oil pulled back, finally had a pullback after reaching a multi-year high, and we see it was, well, that's actually not true, after reaching highs for this year, and we see that oil was above $100 a barrel, but we see we've had a bit of a pullback rather rapidly as oil finally pulled back a little bit. Looking at USO, our ETF for that. Next, we're going to take a look at GLD, our ETF for gold, and we see that there is definitely gold is moving up into highs, and certainly some people are making that move to safety, which gold provides for them. Now let's take a look and see what kind of volume we had this last week in the overall market. And we see that for the week, overall market volume was pretty much around normal. Right around average, a little bit higher probably right through here on Thursday as we had our pivot take place as we went back up into an upcycle in this uptrending market. So that is the market the way it looked in the last week. We saw our indices basically stalling out at this level. And finally, for those of you that are gold members, stick around. We'll take a look at our stocks to watch, the stocks we've been watching all along. For those of you that want more free videos from Options University, go to www.optionsuniversity.com/free gold. And this is Butch Shorak, Options University. It's Monday, September 24th, 2012. It should be an interesting week in the market as we are post-expiration week, and we'll see how the market responds and what kind of window dressing we're going to get as we go into the last week of September after options expiration, after quadruple witching. Monday should be interesting. Watch that first high, watch that first low to determine which way the day is headed. For the rest of you, thank you very much for being here. For gold members, hang on. We'll continue on. And to our gold members, welcome back, and let's continue on taking a look at some of our stocks to watch. As we look at the SPX for the past week, we see that, yes, we are in an uptrend, and, unless something happens, we always know that things return to the mean. Well, it hasn't returned to the mean for a while. We are certainly due for this market to pull back. Could it pull back this week as we go into the end of the week, setting up what's to come for the rest of the quarter, next quarter and the quarter after, which are usually the two strongest quarters of the year? Looks like we're going to have a big move out of the market. I notice all of our resistant areas that above us are now below us and act as support. Expectations are we certainly could return to that 30-day moving average, so don't be shocked by that. So as traders, you ride the trend until the trend ends. And so the best advice I can give you is tighten up your stops. We're overextended. Many of our oscillators have told us it's time to roll over. It's just a matter of whether the market's going to roll over very far. So let's take a look at our stocks to watch for the week, see what they did. As the market went sideways, so did Amazon. But look where it is. It's certainly done nothing but run since the last earnings. And we got earnings coming up shortly, and we'll expect that Amazon is probably going to run into those earnings also. Next, let's take a look at everybody's favorite stock out there, Apple. And look at Apple. It's just higher, above that $700 level. And look at what it did it with. Pretty good volume on Friday. If you're in this, enjoy the run. Will it pull back to the 30-day moving average? It can. How high is it supposed to go? The analysts say 1111. That remains to be seen. That was a really high call, but it certainly could get there. Maybe we'll be thinking about a stock split one of these days out of Apple. Next, take a look at AutoZone. We see that AutoZone, on good earnings news, had a nice move on volume as AutoZone was headed back up. Headed towards newer areas. So AutoZone certainly looks strong during this week, stronger than the overall market headed for some previous highs. CMG had a nice little run and then went sideways with the overall market. It's currently trading above the 30 and the 50, still below the 200-day moving average. Not the stock it once was. It'll take some big kind of earning news to get this thing back up into that 400 range, which is where it was before. And we'll see what happens as we come into earnings just shortly. We're ready to come into that new earnings season. Google, can you say uptrend? Uptrend, uptrend. Breakout. Breakout on what? Volume. So eBay, or rather Google, certainly has shown that it is a market leader well above that 700 mark at this point. Next, take a look at GMCR as the market consolidated. This pulled back a little weaker than the overall market. No big surprise there. On move up in the market with any kind of strength, you could certainly see this bounce and bounce higher. Look for higher highs and higher lows on Green Mountain Coffee, as it certainly could move back up into that 32-33 range. All right, now let's take a look at that medical company, ISRG, and see what it did during this last week. A little bit of a bull flag and then bounce right back up over that 200-day moving average. Good earnings news out of this was a little bit of forward forecasting. Look at the volume on the day that it went higher. This is a good-looking stock. Could break up into that new area. Still trying to close that previous gap right up in there. So it will probably work its way up there if the market cooperates at all. All right, next let's take a look at MasterCard. MasterCard looks almost as strong. Well, that's not fair, as Google is not fair, but it certainly has had a nice move up in the market as it keeps heading higher and higher. All right, go MasterCard, one of those companies that definitely takes and has good things happening to it with the Bernanke announcements. Now let's take a look at McDonald's, see what happened to McDonald's, and this is MasterCard, not the McDonald's chart, and so we will skip over that one. Let's take a look at Nike, going sideways, going nowhere, earnings coming up, and let's see what effect earnings will have. Last earnings were not good, as the effect on the market was that it sold off big, and it did all it could do to get back up to close that gap and then go sideways until we got a bit of a move here in the last couple of weeks out of Nike. Just trying to do it, but not quite there yet. Priceline had a nice move up ever since that big pullback and has continued on up. Look for higher highs, higher lows, which we had on Friday. You might wait till it actually breaks out of this range right here and look for that for new entry for Priceline. Again, trying to close that gap that sits behind it. All right, and finally, WW Grainger, definitely going sideways. Might want to look at some kind of trade where you're trading both sides of this, taking advantage of theta decay, and set yourself up with an iron condor on WW Grainger, as it doesn't seem to want to go anyplace, but certainly has shown us the characteristics of a stock that was well liked by Wall Street. So, folks, that is the week that's coming. Take a look at the week that's coming as we see the effect it had on our favorite stocks during the last week. Google and Apple definitely are the leaders of the market moving upwards. If you're in those positions, tighten your stops up if you're a short-term trader. If you're not a short-term trader, you're a longer-term trader, utilize the fact that we're still in an uptrend and you may want to add more with any kind of a pullback. With that thought, this is Butch Shorak, Options University, Monday, September 24th, 2012. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. Please visit our website and see some of the great tools we have there, www.optionsuniversity.com.